Hey guys, week 22, I got a full show for you, so there's a lot to get through. There's going to be like 8 reviews, there's going to be a contest, a drawing, whatnot, Q&A and an update. But I want to address at the end of this video, there's going to be kind of, I have a Cinema Wasteland, I filmed this video with Keith Voigt Jr., he's a friend of mine, he's popped up on older videos. It's kind of, basically we gush about Natural Born Killers, we just wanted to talk about Natural Born Killers, movies like it, whatnot. Remind you, there is some terrible language, because we're at a convention, we're tired, we're just rambling, we're excited, there's language, there's spoilers, and if you haven't seen Natural Born Killers, do not watch it. We spoil the hell out of it. But let me hop right into the reviews right away. The first one is by Shervan Films. This is Two Female Spies with Flowered Panties. Yes. Yeah, I had not seen this one. This is by the infamous Jess Franco. Everybody knows Jess Franco. He's directed hundreds of European films. He's pretty infamous. Love him, hate him, everybody knows Jess Franco. And the more Franco you see, you realize that he's kind of working within a budget. Sometimes he does all right, sometimes he does terrible. Sometimes they're painful, sometimes they're okay. Two Female Spies is such a weird, bizarre movie. It follows these two prostitutes who are basically forced into spying on these rich couple who are kidnapping popular women who are being forced into kind of as sex slaves for really powerful rich men. This is a super weird movie. It plays as spy farce. It's filled with nudity and sleaze. At times it turns into this hardcore kind of torture movie. And also, it has these weird comedic elements. It's political, like, thriller. It's all over the place. The French version is in HD. There's a Spanish version on here as well in standard def, only available in Spanish. The subtitles are a little bit more tolerable than the English dub, but it does make it quite comedic. I prefer the French version because it's in HD, and the dubbing is hilarious. As far as the film's concerned, like I said, it's a mess. Tons of out-of-focus shots that you probably would never realize they were out of focus unless they're in HD. I can't really recommend the movie. Like I said, there's these really sleazy moments. There's a scene where a gay character who's helping them out is raped, and it's played for laughs. His fate and his whole deal is completely changed depending on which version you watch. Both the versions share about 30 minutes of the same footage, as according to Stephen Thrower in the features, but there's so many different things happening here with them. There's hilarious moments where it goes from night to day shots. There's a character getting shot at, it's at night, and then all of a sudden he falls down and it's day, or vice versa. Just strange things within seconds. The best set piece in the movie is with a helicopter chasing one of the leads, and there's a machine gun out of the door, and it's just way too big for this movie, and it's actually done fairly well. There's a bunch of cave-dwelling hippies that end up helping the female spies. Regardless, it has points of being super mean-spirited, points of being super sleazy, and then this weird light, like, slapstick comedy stuff in there as well. If you want to watch a lot of TNA, if you don't care about plot, the music's fairly decent. That's nice in there. The Blu-ray's really good because, like I said, there's 2 versions, one on DVD, one on Blu-ray. There's a bunch of features in here. Stephen Thrower gives some props to Jess Franco, which is nice to see, and he kind of sheds some light on this release. He knows everything, it seems like. There's an interview with the composer on here and Jess Franco. There's tons of bloopers as well. It's a nice release. It's not particularly something I would ever revisit, but Shervan did a nice job with the movie. It is presented in full screen, which I believe it probably was shot in. Not a great movie, but a really bizarre one with all sorts of things. Political, thriller stuff in here, comedy, spy farce, torture, and the torture scenes in here are fairly graphic. That is Two Female Spies with Flowered Panties.
Get back in here!
Two spies with flowered panties. Two spies with flowered panties. Two spies with flowered panties.
The next one here is from Arrow Films. This is Ghoul. This is by executive producer Ben Wheatley. You guys will know Ben Wheatley. He did Kill List and a bunch of other sightseers. So it kind of has that low-budget British feel to it. I can't remember the filmmakers here, but they came from a comedy troupe, so they come from a comedy background, but Ghoul is not that. Ghoul is kind of a small, definitely psychological thriller movie that is circular in nature and super bizarre. It's definitely a mind screw of a movie. We follow this character who you believe is a cop, kind of trying to solve this murder, and then he kind of goes undercover as a patient to learn about another patient from the psychiatrist. That's when you realize this guy might not be a cop at all. He might be pretending to be a patient, or he might be a cop pretending, or a former cop kind of going undercover, or he may just be a person that wants to be a cop. It gets very confusing. It ends where it starts, and lots of crazy stuff happens. The lead performance in here is really well done. In fact, most of the acting in here, all the acting, I would say, no weak spots. Very, very strong acting. Very strong score. Very crisp looking. Shot very nice. You can tell it's a budget movie, but it's done by really good professional people who know what they're doing and know how to stretch a buck without making it look like it's a cheap piece of crap. I would recommend checking this one out, especially if you like the psychological kind of mind screw movies. With these kind of deals, though, you got to realize it can. You always are wondering what exactly happened, and you want to watch it a second time, but sometimes you don't have all the time in the world. There's a commentary on here, but there's a making of as well. I think the making of is better than the commentary. They kind of repeat themselves, and the making of shorter and sweeter and has more people involved. I enjoyed watching that. I can't really have any negative things to say about this movie. It's either you'll like something like this or you won't. It reminds me of Baskin without the gore. I love Baskin, but Baskin's a little bit more provoking with its imagery, I think, than Ghoul. But Ghoul has these really good moments and creepy moments that I necessarily don't want to spoil anything, but it's very subtle, but it works very well. It's a very powerful kind of crazy drama. On here, there's some features, of course, like I said, commentary and a making of, but there's a short called The Baron. The Baron is excellent. It's a comedy short. There's commentary on that as well, but this one is absolutely hilarious and well worth checking out. You can see the comedy aspects with these guys. It actually has people from the Sightseers, the lead from the Sightseers in that, and the lead from the female lead from Sightseers is in Ghoul. I'd recommend Ghoul, and it's strange what Ghoul even is. It's kind of a not spoiling it too much, but you'll check it out. I think it's worth watching for sure.
Here's the head scratcher. How is it possible for two people to keep walking when they've been shot 3 times, one of them in the face?
What makes you think he's the one?
That scratched circle was just a find on the day, wasn't it?
We didn't do it. We didn't do it, British Rail.
It wasn't us.
Tea or coffee?
Tea, please.
Normal tea or some sort of gay tea? We've got the lot.
Normal, thanks.
Coming up.
What happens if it's not all there?
It has to be there.
Yeah, but what happens?
It has to be there.
How does it benefit them to beat you up or worse if it's not?
It has to fucking be there.
The The next one here is from VCI. This is Ruby by Curtis Harrington. You know, I've heard of Ruby. I know who Curtis Harrington is. I've seen his movie The Killing Kind with John Savage. I remember that being fairly solid. Ruby is an Exorcist ripoff, but it's fairly different. This is a crazy movie to get into. It starts out in the 30s, a murdered mobster, and it comes about 15 years later into this drive-in. Who's it? She's Piper Laurie from Carrie, of course, runs this drive-in, and she has working for all these old mobsters that she did favors for, including Stuart Whitman, who she kind of has a love affair for. Ruby is haunted. She has this strange child who's mute, and she's haunted by the old love, her murdered lover. So it gets very bizarre here, and the mobsters are responsible for the death. So strange things start to happen. A telekinesis, and these mobsters start getting picked off one by one. It's a mix of exorcist, and it's a mix of this kind of telekinetic strange horror. But it's got a nice location. The drive-in's great. It takes place in Florida, or it's supposed to at least. So you get that kind of swampy area. Curtis Harrington's not really known for like gore set pieces or really supernatural stuff, but this one he did fairly well with. Len Lesser's in here from Seinfeld, of course, and Outlaw Josie Wales and Death Hunt, and Blood and Lace, which you guys will know is a kind of really PG sicky. But he's in this movie, which was nice to see. He plays one of the mobsters, does a good job. In fact, all the acting's solid in this movie. Stuart Whitman's likable as always. But what gets really strange is they bring in this doctor, and he starts to look into the daughter and realizes that the old mobster's kind of possessing her in a strange way. There's a couple scenes that are direct exorcist deals. Piper Laurie's great in this movie. She plays this kind of old school, she used to be a singer, she used to be an actress, and she lives back in the 30s where she is always worried about how she's dressed and how she looks and about elegance and all that nonsense. But oh, sorry, my hair's driving me nuts. But she's great in this. Stuart Whitman's great in it. But I will say about the the Blu-ray release itself, there were some issues. There was a blackout frame in here, a couple frames where people pointed out, but people are complaining about the quality. I personally did think the quality was a little lacking. I thought it was very, very strange. I'm not sure what was wrong with it, but at the end, if you watch and it pops up with the text, you see all these strange lines kind of, if you look close going through it. It looked a little strange. I'm not necessarily sure what happened with the transfer. I'm sure it's never looked better, but it doesn't look particularly great, which is a shame because they went out of their way. They added 2 commentaries on here, interviews with Curtis Harrington, old ones with the owner of VCI, and he was friends with Curtis Harrington, so they got deep into his career. The commentaries are great because one is Curtis Harrington and Piper Laurie. Curtis Harrington just recently died. That's the old commentary. It's great what they talk about the movie and everything. And then the new commentary is David DeVille and a big Curtis Harrington fan. So they talk about all sorts of stuff in the movie. They're great commentaries, and like I said, there's other things included on here as well. You learn a lot about Ruby. You learn that this was not the cut that played on television, that this is not exactly the director's cut, but it's the closest thing there is. It's an interesting movie, and it's better than I thought. There's a couple great death scenes in here, and there's a really hilarious death scene with this heavy lady who gets a drink out of the fountain, out of the cold pop machine. But yeah, it's worth checking out. I enjoyed it. I like that it mixed the 30s and the 50s kind of style, or it did those things in here. And it's like an exorcism with a drive-in. That's really cool. They're playing Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. But I enjoyed Ruby. I wish the picture quality looked a little better, but that's my only really gripe with the release. Everything else is fairly solid.
This woman is having a love affair with the supernatural.
I'm here, Nikki.
Baby, how I want you.
Something has disturbed him. Something powerful. Very powerful.
Piper Laurie was frightening in Carrie. She is terrifying as Ruby. Christened in blood, raised in sin, she's sweet 16. Let the party begin.
It's here. It's very strong.
First, there was the exorcist, then the omen and Carrie. But nothing you have ever seen before could prepare you for what you are going to see in Ruby. Starring Piper Laurie.
It was never Jake. It was always you. You believe me now, don't you, Nicky?
You have to believe me now. I did it for you, Nicky. Look what I did.
Stuart Whitman. Roger Davis.
The presence is real, with motives of his own. Leslie is a natural medium. What I'm afraid of now is that the presence may be powerful enough to act without the benefit of Leslie's mind.
And introducing Janet Baldwin as Ruby's daughter. Ruby will take you further into the world of the supernatural than any film has ever dared.
Hey guys, the next one here is Samurai Cop. Yeah, I think everybody knows what Samurai Cop is. I never saw Samurai Cop. I must admit, I'm not a huge fan of those movies that people like to watch and cringe during. Like, I never had an interest in seeing Birdemic or The Room, even if I have them both. I kind of stumbled across them and ended up getting them. There's just something about them where I'm like, everybody's laughing at this, and I just don't get it. But occasionally, some of those movies were really, I'll really enjoy because they're entertaining. Hack-A-Lantern, for one, is these types of movies tend to happen. They're just completely batshit crazy, and they're made by foreign directors who don't really understand how America works, but they think they do, and there's no telling them any different. So they go out and make this really bizarre movie like Halloween, Hack-A-Lantern, and Samurai Cop. Samurai Cop follows the story of this new cop in the area and his partner who basically get in this giant gang fight with these crazy samurai group. The bad guys are ridiculous, the dialogue is ridiculous, the performances are ridiculous, but you can't really hold it against any of the actors because they were following the director's orders. The editing is choppy, everything about it is super bizarre, the dubbing's weird, the guy's wearing a wig at one point because there's reshoots. It's so funny how people die in this movie. It's almost like a kid in a school play who doesn't want to be dead in the play, so he refuses to die. There's points where the guy gets shot and he grabs himself in blood, and it's just hilarious. I laughed out loud. And typically, like I said, I hate this kind of stuff, this kind of cringe, let's laugh at him humor, but this is done so genuine that it's absolutely hilarious. The interviews on the disc, you learn that the actors knew it was messed up. They would just get takes where they, in an office, say, now show me a funny reaction, and they'd have to do it. And when they finally saw the movie, they're like, oh no, it's ridiculous. But the lead are good sports. They talk in the special features. They seem like they look back on the moments and are glad they did it. The director also did a movie, Killing America Style, which is also super ridiculous. And the funny thing about Samurai Cop is that you're like, oh, this is going to be really silly. It is, yes, but it's super sleazy, and there's tons of action. It's just absolutely ridiculous. At one point, a guy gets set on fire, and you can tell it's not the same guy. He looks over at the camera. There's a lot of there's as much as nudity as they could pack in here, and it's shot so gratuitous. You can tell the director's like, yeah, you're gonna want that skin, but it's hilarious and it's vastly entertaining because the action never stops. The goons are over the top. They're just pulsating creepiness and sweatiness, and it's an early 90s movie. It's absolutely ridiculous, complete nonsense. Robert Dazar's in it. They speed up the fight scene at the end with the samurai swords. You gotta see it if you like action and you like just weird off-the-wall dialogue, especially the exchange he has, Samurai Cop has with the nurse, then you'll love this one. It's inept, it's stupid, but it's a lot of fun. And I don't always love these movies. Dangerous Men by Alamo Drafthouse that they released, I didn't like that one. It was just too bad. It was just too boring. This one, it's worth your time.
Are you Fujiyama?
Yes, I am. Who are you?
I'm a cop.
His real name is Joe Marshall. They call him Samurai. He speaks fluent Japanese. He got his martial arts training from the masters in Japan. Was brought over here from the police force in San Diego to fight us.
Would you like to fuck me? You're the one that talked me into bringing this moron from San Diego to fight the Japanese katana gang.
Bingo.
I want him dead. I want his head cut off and brought here.
Have you been circumcised?
Yeah, I have. Why?
Well, your doctor must have cut a big portion of it off.
I want his head on this piano so that every man in my organization understands once more that no katana gets captured alive or talks. Got that?
How did you know I'd come home with you?
Let's just say I can read eyes.
I feel like somebody stuck a big club up my ass, and it hurts. I've got to figure out a way to get it out of there.
The next one here is by James Bell. This is Tantrum. What's the subtitle? Phantom of the Demon. Yeah. If you guys don't know James Bell is this independent director. He makes these crazy gore, surreal, kind of art films. They got to be art films. I think so. I had a chance to work with him in the second Nutsack movie, and it was a good time. And so I'm a little biased, but I've always enjoyed his movies. And he's an artist, and he's got this guerrilla-style filmmaking. He films his movies in Detroit. He picks his locations. They're always run down. They're always creepy. To explain what Tantrum 2 is, you'd have to see a James Bell movie. These movies feel like fever dreams, and in fact this one follows what appears to be an attack and then a suicide, but it's not told in a genuine, straightforward manner. There's a whole bunch of strange things flashing in, people wearing these weird paper mache masks and they just wander around the most desolate places, and it looks like they're just using like run down houses, going in and splattering to gore and everything. A lot of the set pieces will remind me of something like Roadkill, The Last Days of John Martin by Jim Van Bebber, or maybe even this segment really feels like if you took Roadkill by Jim Van Bebber and you took a lost segment for Der Toscan, The Death King by Jörg Bucharest, and threw them together. That's what you'd get. This feels like a lost segment from the Jörg Bucharest movie Der Toscan, which is all about suicide or 7 tragic deaths or strange deaths, one for each day of the week. This one feels like it could be that added day. It's just so twisted, and I think this is the most sense I can make out of any of his movies, maybe besides Manure, and I think it's probably his best. Mainly just 2 actors and actresses. There's moments in here where I cringe. I actually feel disgusted. I feel like disgusted at the moments, and I don't typically do that in a lot of movies. It's very disgusting, but it's very thought-provoking at the same time, and it's just insane. There's just so much weird stuff, and his set pieces, they work so perfectly because a lot of them are real, and they seem dangerous. Like I said, his movies always seem dangerous. I feel like I say the same things. His movies are very similar all the time, but they're very different as well, and he's getting better, I think, and I really enjoyed the hell out of this one. And there's a nice tribute to one of his friends that passed in the very beginning. But Tantrum, if you like shorts, this is 40 minutes long. If you like these kind of surreal, grotesque, gory kind of art films, then you really got to check this one out. It's shot on video, so it's got that lo-fi quality to it. I'd really recommend it. It's his best work, especially if you like other stuff like Tantrum 1 and Nutsack. One here is by Jack Hill. Yeah, this is Switchblade Sisters. This is actually a Blu-ray release, kind of a strange release. This is a German release. I'd never seen it. I know everybody's like, you never saw Switchblade Sisters? I never did. I'm sorry, guys. But, I've been catching up on some of the Jack Hill stuff. Like I saw Coffee and Foxy Brown and Spider Baby and some other ones as well. Jack Hill is like an exploitation king. He makes these low-budget movies and he does a great job with it. Switchblade Sisters follows this gang. What was their original name? I can't remember. But they they end up being the Jezebels. Really weird movie about this kind of Lace, and she gets in this fight with this girl, and they eventually kind of form this strange gang together. Well, she joins the gang, and there's this gang turmoil over boys and whatnot. Everybody in this movie is a pretty big piece of crap except the lead. There's a lot of aesthetic stuff that I think that people from exploitation movies will like realize. There's a lady with the patch on her eyes. It looks something like straight from Thriller or A Cruel Picture. I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure that the look of a lot of these girls and the gang inspired a lot of people. This movie is so weird to me, the tone and everything, because at points they are high school students. They feel like they're in high school. At one moment, there's a shootout at a roller rink, and a bunch of people die. It's violent, and everybody dies in it. And then the next scene, they meet with the gang who they're fighting with, and they're kind of screwing up like this ice cream social or whatever. They're selling stuff, and it's so childish. It's like they just killed a bunch of people, and now you're basically like, get out of here, guys. I don't know what's going on with the tone. And the character of Lace is one of the characters. Lacey, I wanted to strangle. I literally wanted to strangle her. She plays it like a bratty 14-year-old little girl who has to have her way, but her way involves people getting killed. There's some good action in here. There's a great scene where there's a big shootout in the middle of the street. And there's a great scene at the end. Bob Miner pops in here. He's in a stuntman. He's in tons of stuff. All in all, it's not my favorite Jack Hill movie because the tone is so weird, but there's some great exploitation set pieces. There's a girl's in prison scene that's super sleazy. There's some good fight scenes, of course, and there's some great shootouts. The ending is iconic, and there's a lot of iconic looking characters in here, but everybody's such a piece of crap. Don Stark's in here, which is nice to see. Everybody's such a piece of crap, and it's not like, you can't relate. It's just like, I don't care. They're so sleazy and shitty, and a lot of them aren't good at anything. They're just not very entertaining. A lot of acting shaky in this one. Not the best acting. The lead's great. She's amazing in it and great character as well. And like I said, it's nice seeing people like Bob Miner and Don Stark pop up. But I really can't strongly recommend this one. I know it's a huge cult classic. I like it. I enjoy it. I appreciate it. But it's not my favorite Jack Hill movie. That would have to be, Foxy Brown. But it's still good.
Meet the toughest gang of teenage girls ever to slash their way across a motion picture screen. Their parents didn't want them. Their teachers were scared of them. Even the cops couldn't tame them. Switchblade Sisters. Are the young rebels fighting for survival in a decaying society? Or are they just teenage hoodlums taking advantage of their youth?
You can't hold us. We're juveniles.
First, you'll meet Lace. She's as affectionate as a scorpion, with all the loving tenderness of a buzzsaw.
Okay, you want me out? You're gonna have to.
You got knocked off, right? Big deal!
If you go, it's gonna turn out bad.
She'd rather kill her man than lose him. Then there's Maggie, Lace's best friend, a shapely young bundle of female dynamite, and Lace's man lit the fuse.
You're a chicken. Say it!
You'll also meet the girl who used her young body to earn the nickname of Bunny.
Have a little something to relax the nerve. And it's only $5.
Come on, Superman.
And then there's the one they just call Patch.
I lost my eye for this gang, remember? We used to be tough.
They also call her the Smiling Cobra.
Shameless.
Impudent woman! And from now on, that's gonna be us!
The Switchblade Sisters. You'll laugh with them. You'll love with them.
Maggie? What's going on in there? Maggie? You got a boy in there?
But don't try to fight with them.
No way!
him alive.
Two teenage wildcats, both hung up on the same guy. One of them had to go the hard way. Meet the teenage girl gang even the cops were scared of. Switchblade Sisters is a story of today and maybe a little bit of tomorrow.
The next one I actually watched on Vudu. I had not seen it. I had heard about it from I believe it was, they had Darren Scott on the Shockwaves podcast, and I think they talk about it on Pure Cinema podcast as well. It is Love and a 45. This came out in 94. It's one of the Tarantino ripoffs after the wake of stuff like True Romance, Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and Natural Born Killers. And that's exactly what this movie is. And it helps it and hurts it at the same time. We have these kind of white trash couple that, reminds me of Raising Arizona a bit. One's played by Renee Zellweger, which is nice to see from Texas Chainsaw Next Generation. And they're low rent criminals. They basically con and steal and rob. What happens is the boyfriend, the main guy, ends up getting caught up in a robbery gone wrong, and he has to kind of defend himself from this drugged out maniac that's kind of used to be his friend. He also owes money around to a couple bookies that are coming to collect, one played by Jeffrey Combs, amazingly, and the cops are after him as well. So it becomes a road movie. They're running, trying to make it to Mexico. This reminds me of True Romance because his lover's on the run. And it also reminds me of Natural Born Killers because they bring in this whole media sensation that these two are kind of on the media and everybody's looking for them and looking at them, and they're kind of loving the celebrity aspect of it. And even Reservoir Dogs scene where somebody's shot in the back of a car screaming, and it's played like Reservoir Dogs. Peter Fonda pops in here, which was great to see. The guy who plays the drug maniac is super over the top, almost too over the top, I think. He's kind of like a meth head. Super intense performance. I'm not necessarily sure if I loved it or not. I love Renee Zellweger in it. She's great in it. Peter Fonda's solid in it. He's got this, he can't talk, so he uses a throat talker, and he has a lot of funny dialogue. But Jeffrey Combs steals the show as this white trash kind of bookie. His dialogue's great. He's enjoying it. He owns it, and he does an amazing job. That's probably the highlight in that is Jeffrey Combs. There's some violent scenes, some nice action. It's shot completely different. I enjoyed the movie, but it's pretty distracting because it's so much like a Tarantino movie or a Tarantino style movie. Some of these I enjoy. Sometimes I don't enjoy them. But I'd say this one's definitely worth checking out. Darren Scott, I believe, wrote it. The director went on to do, or he did Captain Ron, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But Love in a 45 is kind of interesting. You could check it out on Vudu in HDX. That's how I did it. It's not very expensive, $8. Fun movie, has a lot of zany characters, but a little bit too Tarantino-y for me.
We swear on the sacrament of our own blood that we will die before falling into the hands of Allah. 'Cause dying free is better than living in a cage.
Do you love me, what?
More than anything.
More than a preacher loves God?
More than Jimmy Swaggart loves to swag. I'm Waddy Watts. Her name is Starlene Cheatham. We specialize in risk management.
I plumb forgot all about my wife.
Alto! Where are we gonna go?
I was thinking Mexico sounds pretty good. How about you?
Mexico! Maybe we can practice our Spanish!
Starlene, what are you doing?
Putting on makeup. In case we get killed over there, I want to make damn sure I look good for those cameras. It's gonna be just like the movies, Mom. Just like the movies. Thank God we brought the Polaroid.
The next one here is The Getaway. It's a 3-pack here. This is The Getaway by Sam Peckinpah. Believe it or not, I never saw it. Years ago, I saw The Getaway, the remake in the 90s with Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger, James Woods, David Morris. I actually saw that one and Michael Madsen. And I enjoyed that. And then, I've been kind of going back and watching a lot of Peck and Paw lately. So I've been saving some of the big ones, for a cloudy day or, to check out. And The Getaway stars Steve McQueen, Ben Johnson. Who else pops in here? Slim Pickens and Art. Is it Art or is it Frank Lettieri who pops up in Mr. Majestic? He's the bad guy, Mr. Majestic, opposite Charles Bronson. I believe it's Art. He's great in this. He plays the character Rudy. If you guys are not familiar with the story of The Getaway, it's basically about a criminal played by Steve McQueen and his wife who are forced to do this job for Ben Johnson, and things don't go right. The cops are after him. Ben Johnson's boys are after him. One of his criminal partners is after him. They all want this $500,000 that was robbed from this bank. Bo Hopkins is also in it. So it's a road movie again. What makes this movie so great is that Steve McQueen and who is it, Ally McGraw, they have such great chemistry together. There's just these small moments in here, besides Peck and Paw's action. There's tons of stuff that makes it great, but the moments in here that make it so great is Steve McQueen and Ally McGraw's interactions. At one point, they're kind of having a lot of fights here and there if nobody's seen the movie, but Ally McGraw drives up and she had purchased a new car so they can escape. And Steve McQueen says, "How much did you pay for that?" She says, $2,800. And he just that slight nod of disapproval that a husband and wife would have with each other back and forth, that bickering. I enjoyed seeing Ben Johnson. I always love seeing him. And in the opening, they show Steve McQueen in prison. And the way it's edited, the fast cuts, the boom, the noises, everything, the sound design makes you go crazy because it's the routine that drives McQueen crazy, and it kind of makes him snap at a point. It's really well done. McQueen's great in it, by the way. The action's great in it. I think this one's PG. I don't know how they got a PG rating in here. At points, you see glimpses of boobs, and it's horrifically violent, like Peck and Paw's other stuff. Slow motion shootouts. The shootout at the end's amazing. Lots of great stuff. Slim Pickens in this movie has a role that you just watch Slim Pickens just say, man, is there anybody cooler than that sentimental old guy Slim Pickens? His dialogue's great. His voice is great. The interactions with them is great. But it's a classic. Me talking about it's probably stupid, but anybody that hasn't seen it, this was originally kind of a horror show. I'd really recommend checking it out. Love the hell out of it. Love the action. Love the music. No complaints. And, I always wanted to do, I almost did like a remake comparison where I talked about the new one and compared them. And they're fairly similar. I know the remake probably gets a lot of hate, but I love that Michael Madsen took the rollover for Art Lettieri. And there's a really interesting aspect about these movies. It's based off a novel, actually, like a dime store novel. And there's a really interesting aspect with that character, Rudy, kidnapping Sally Struthers and her husband. And they go cross country, and Sally Struthers kind of falls for him. And it's just this really strange relationship, and I think they did a good job. Although I do actually prefer Rudy's demise in the remake. But The Getaway, this actually has some features on here, which are cool. There's a commentary, but what I enjoyed seeing was they had these vintage interviews with Ally McGraw and Sam Peckinpah and Steve McQueen, kind of done in like just audio interviews. I enjoyed seeing that. But it's a freaking classic.
Carter McCoy, 1 to 10 years sentence for armed robbery. First offense in the state of Texas. Wanted by the state of Ohio for assault with a deadly weapon and armed robbery.
One home.
Hey, ho, get that brush pile here and get it rounded up. I want it tight where to burn. Look out, McCoy. Get your axe and come on up here and catch in. Oh, man, that's just a game.
I don't like this game anymore.
Okay.
What did I tell you? Isn't that game?
It's all a game.
Hang you.
I'm sorry I was late. I was having my hair done and the girl was slow.
You look fine.
Where do you want to go?
Straight ahead. Hang it, rattle, folks.
5-4s.
I think you'll like it, Willie. I think he got to you.
Maybe. At least I got to him.
She told me no one would get killed.
In a hurry, Benyon.
You still don't get the picture, do you? And I've always heard what a smart-ass operator you was.
Thanks.
Thank you
For what?
for getting me out.
It's a pleasure.
Shit.
I guess we'll get into the getaway. The giveaway. First contest was for Necrophagia Through the Eyes of the Dead. Let's see who wins this one. What do we got? We got Paul Wakel, or Wakel. Sorry, let's see if I can see that pop up for you guys. But that's Paul. Congratulations, you won Necrophagia Through the Eyes of the Dead by Massacre Video. I got here a sealed copy of Lurking Fear on DVD from Full Moon. To enter this competition, all you got to do is 3 things. You got to like the Screaming Toilet Facebook page, you got to subscribe to Mrparka's YouTube channel, and you got to leave a comment on the Screaming Toilet link in the description box. You'll see it. Not the Facebook page and not the YouTube, not the messages. You'll see it. But yeah, that's all you got to do to try to win the Lurking Fear DVD. It's sealed. I guess I'll get into the Q&A here. We have Jonathan Gagney. Did you have any fond memories from back in the VHS days? Would love to hear that people have, since I used to love to go to my local video store and just for hours look at all the horror movies. Yeah, I have tons of memories. In fact, my whole adult existence has been trying to recreate a video store in said home. This is the DVD section. There's a Blu-ray section upstairs, and there's a little VHS section over there. So yeah, I have a lot of fond memories of it. You know, everything ties back into the video stores and movies for me, which is kind of messed up. You know, I'm probably getting a little sentimental here, but I'm going to go for it. My parents are both passed, and when I think of my mom, I think she was so good to me, just driving me wherever, you know, when I was a young kid. I want to go to the video store, she'd take me to the video store. And those memories are directly correlated and tied in with my mom taking me to the video store and just let me pick out a couple movies, driving me to different video stores, you know, and it'd be like raining. I can even still picture like it kind of drizzling and going in and grabbing a couple movies. She'd take me to get something to eat and stuff. And she was such a sweet lady, and watching movies with her and everything that we rented, just a lot of stuff correlates with like that video store, because that's what mattered to me as a kid. So and it's strange that I sound like a selfish little kid here, like I wanted the movies, and you know, that's how I love my mom, because she did that stuff for me. But there's hundreds of things, but that's just, yeah, I remember just wandering through the aisles and loving to go in a new video store. If you're out of town, you go in a small town video store, they have weird stuff, or just going in a big video store. When I found Video News that had everything, it completely blew my mind, and that changed everything. I love going to the video stores, tons of memories, just looking at the cases. You know, sometimes you still have like flashes when you see a case of a movie you forgot about, and you're like, oh, I have to have that. I have to have it. Nick, you said you rather enjoy older Dario Argento films. What are your thoughts on Mother of Tears Part 3 and the Suspiria trilogy? Also, how do you feel about the Suspiria remake? You know, I remember watching Mother of Tears, and I remember seeing some really great moments in there, some moments that made me jump, and some crazy moments. But towards the third act, I remember kind of losing its steam and me not giving a crap. But it's been a while since I've seen it. I saw it when it originally came out. The Suspiria remake, I don't know. I'll have to wait till I see a trailer, hear some buzz about it, you know. I'll be interested if it looks good or I hear lots of good things. Mr. Tony the Dead, my question for you is, what is one movie that you love that everyone hates? One movie that I love that everyone hates. Man, I don't know. I probably mentioned it a bunch of times. The Item. Everybody hates The Item. I love it. The unrated director's cut, really cool movie. And also, what is one movie that everyone loves that you hate? I'm not a huge fan of The Dark Knight. Don't hate it, but not a huge fan of a lot of TV that people love. I'll use that. What's some other ones? I'm sure there's some ones. I think Scarface is overrated. Don't hate it, but I think it's overrated. There's some stuff. I mean, there's stuff I probably can't even watch that everyone loves. I'm just not into it. But I'll go with The Dark Knight just because it's such a vastly popular movie and everyone loves it. And I'm just like, I don't get it. It's not bad. It's just not for me. And I just don't think it's that great. Christopher Dalliere, what are you a fan of Something Weird Video? If so, what are your favorite movies from this company? Man, you know, I seen some of their stuff. I love Basket Case. I like what I've seen, but it's been a while. You know, I'm not the biggest Herschel Gordon-Lewis fan, to be honest. And I only saw a couple, maybe only just his style and everything. I only saw a couple of his movies, and they just don't really appeal to me that much. And, you know, I always associate Something Weird with Herschel Gordon-Lewis, although they released tons and tons and tons of stuff. I think they released The Zodiac Killer, which recently got released, and I enjoyed that one, so that's worth checking out. Jonathan Wilhelm. Oh, I accidentally missed your question, Jonathan Wilhelm, so I'll get it next week. Jonathan Wilhelm's question was what? I misprinted it. Something's wrong with the paper, but what was your favorite Mario Bava movie? My favorite Mario Bava movie is probably Blood and Black Lace, not to be confused with Blood and Lace. And I also like Bay of Blood quite a bit. Luigi Pistelli's in that, and I like that one. Keltiki's great. I mean, is there any bad the movies of Bava I have seen? None of them are bad. Bill Wolford, I was wondering if you could show the Blu-ray that got more detail, the extra Blu-ray. I'll give you a link. I think Extra the Mutilator talked about it and probably showed it up. I just know that there's 3 versions of the film and a soundtrack. I'm sorry I didn't show it. I might review that one, so I'm kind of trying to save it. Okay, here we go is the update. Let's hop into this. Blue Thunder picked this up pretty cheap. Roy Schneider, Daniel Stern, Malcolm McDowell, Warren Oates. That's a winning team right there. The Hidden. I'm glad this Warner Archive finally released this movie. Jack Shoulder movie. A lot of fun. Michael Nouri, Kyle MacLachlan, Edo Ross, Clu Gulager, Chris Mulkey. Good cast, good movie, great stuff. The Challenge. This was recommended to me from Kino. This is Scott Glenn. The Package. Gene Hackman, Tommy Lee Jones. Kino again. The Devil's Brigade. William Holden, Cliff Robertson. Kino again. Hell in the Pacific, Lee Marvin. Kino again. Mario Bava one, Kidnapped. Good movie, guys. By Mario Bava, has George Eastman in it. This is Black Sabbath. I believe this is the American AIP version from Kino. And then I have the original version by Mario Bava. And then I have Black Sunday. This is the original version. I have the AIP coming as well. And then I have Roy Colt and the Winchester Jack by Mario Bava from Kino, which is great. Now if you guys will stick around, there's a video of me and Cage gushing about Natural Born Killers for about 20 minutes with clips from the movie. It is explicit with language and probably violence from Natural Born Killers. So be warned, there's also spoilers, and if we sound like douchey, crazy people, it's because we're at a convention and we probably haven't been sleeping. But thank you very much for watching, and you guys have a good one. Hey guys, I'm here with Keith Voigt Jr. He's a good friend of mine. You might have seen him pop up in some other videos, and he's a filmmaker, made some shorts, Army and Lust, and this is kind of a new thing I want to do, maybe just sit down with a friend of mine that has shares the love of a certain movie. We're going to do Natural Born Killers by Oliver Stone. We both love this movie, and we just kind of want to gush about the movie and just talk randomly and go, wherever it goes, the conversation goes, we're going to talk about it, so we're going to hop right into it. When was the first time you saw Natural Born Killers?
The first time I saw Natural Born Killers, I was in 6th grade, and I was at Walmart. It was me and my friend Josh and my aunt. it was after a high school football game that I had went to, and we went to Walmart afterwards, and I was just flipping through the movies. It was in the $5 bin.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, this looks fucking sweet, and I'm just looking at the cover and stuff, and Natural Born Killers. I mean, just the title.
Oh yeah, it catches your attention.
Yeah, the title alone, I was like, this is what I want, and it was unrated, which I thought was the coolest thing back then. Director's cut. So I'm reading it. And I remember I saw the drug zone, and I thought that sounded really cool.
So when were you what year was 12th grade for you? Or 6th grade, was it?
6th grade, yeah.
How much?
Well, I graduated in 2011.
So I'm 6 years older than you. I think I saw it when I was in the 6th grade too. So I saw it 6 years previous. I saw a VHS. I had the double tape VHS. And I remember seeing the movie because I was a fan of Quentin Tarantino. It was one of the scripts he wrote along with From Dusk Till Dawn and True Romance, but he didn't actually direct it. And I was highly interested in it. So when I eventually checked it out, it was one of those movies on the list of movies that you have to see. It used to pop up in stuff like Clockwork Orange and Men Behind the Sun, just the movies that were kind of supposed to be twisted and different.
You're right. I remember on IMDb, I was looking up Clockwork Orange because I loved that movie.
Yeah.
And there was one of those threads that that are no longer on IMDb.
Oh yeah.
But it said felt like what's more extreme, a Clockwork Orange or Natural Born Killers, because Warner Brothers released both of them.
Did they?
Yeah.
I know that. Did they originally release that? Was it a Morgan Creek?
No, I mean it
was a Trimark.
Theatrically.
Oh yeah, theatrically, but it was a Trimark release, wasn't it?
Yeah. Distribution was through Trimark.
Well, if anybody's not familiar with the story of Natural Born Killers, it's basically about it's kind of a remake of Badlands, except in Tarantino's style, but it also plays into the fact that it basically makes horrible criminals heroes by the media doing it, and people just kind of worship scum. I mean, it's happened. If you look in history and society, I mean, everybody knows who Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer is, but nobody knows who their victims are. That's just the way society is. People take these, I guess, horrible people and they make them heroes like Billy the Kid. Although I think Billy the Kid was probably a little more salvageable than fucking Mickey and Mallory Knox. But it's kind of funny to think that they do this kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah, satire, sensationalism of television and stuff.
And Natural Born Killers is really good at tearing apart all sides of it. You have Mickey and Mallory, who are kind of hypocrites and horrible people. You have the law, who's Tom Sizemore, who's Jack Scagnetti.
They're terrible people.
He's a horrible person.
Yeah.
And this whole theme of the movie is violence breeds violence. You have Mickey, who is beaten by his father and his mother, and Mallory, who is beaten by his father, molested by her father, Jack Scagnetti, whose mother was killed by Charles Whitman, who is a mass murderer. Yep. And all these people, as violence breeds violence, and they all became these monsters. But what's interesting about Mickey and Mallory is, if you notice, Mickey, when she says, "Quit being cute," Mallory yells at him, and it has a flashback to his mother. And he says, "Turn into what, you stupid bitch," to Mallory, and she has this reminder of her father. These two can never get separated. Although they hate their parents, everything they hates their parents, they still ended up being with someone who is like their parents.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of funny. It's like these two are like the white trash, like Juliette Lewis in this movie is like the perfect piece of white trash, trailer park, trash. But she's also amazing in the movie.
She's great, and I think one of the strongest points of the movie for me is their intense passion and love for each other.
And it only goes for such a little time. It's not even that long before they get in prison.
Yeah, they don't even know each other that long, but they have this. It's almost like they were drawn to each other.
Yeah,
which is something I think is really cool, and it almost counterbalances how evil they are.
Yeah, I mean, these people do have some sort of redeeming quality to them. But what's really interesting as well is this is Tarantino wrote. I think he wrote True Romance before this, and True Romance is a lot like Badlands again.
Even uses the music.
But it's funny that this is pretty much the same thing. These lovers on the run, although they're not as bad. But also, there's so many movies that are like this and ripped this movie off or came from it or inspired it. And it's, again, the whole media sensation of people. It's similar to Dillinger in that way, that Dillinger was this hero. And like I said, Billy the Kid and all these people, it's similar to Badlands. And then there was these kind of low-budget knockoffs. Like we were talking about California, you said was like it, which I hadn't seen it.
And Juliette Lewis is in that
as well. Is she really?
Yeah.
And she ends up... Yeah.
She's the chick.
And... what was a couple other ones?
Have you seen? I think there's one that I know that you haven't seen called Jimmy and Judy.
No, I have not seen that one.
Now, that's with Edward Furlong and his real life wife Rachel Bella, I think her name is, and that's like a home video camcorder of two people that fall in love very quickly. They go, they get in trouble with the law and go on the run, and it's really good actually. I like Jimmy and Judy, but that's kind of a rip off. Even Killers, Real
Oh
Killers.
yeah, Real Killers by Mike Mendez is a perfect example.
Tarantino ripoff.
Oh yeah,
more
but that's
than just Natural Born
That's
Killers.
more of a based off the Melendez brothers case, I think, too. Like the two brothers.
Yeah.
It's kind of inspired by it a little bit, even though the Melendez brothers could probably never do a kill.
I remember the reason I bought the Real Killers tape was because it said this is what Natural Born Killers should have been.
And the bloodletting. I remember reading a review for the movie Bloodletting, which is a 1997 shot-on-video movie by Matthew Jason Walsh that says Natural Born Killers done right. And I actually probably saw Bloodletting before Natural Born Killers. But that one's really good because it's more low-key, but in the opening it has a sensationalism and basically these serial killer lovers like waiting, like, is it a Butch Harlow murder scene? They're all excited about it. And these two kind of fall in love and they go on this kill-crazy murder spree, which is similar to Psychos in Love. Not necessarily the same, but you know.
Yeah, and I haven't seen Psychos in Love either, but I'm excited to check it out.
But I mean, there's just so much about Natural Born Killers. Like the soundtrack, like every song in the movie.
Perfect.
Like if you take the Patti Smith song, it takes in the very beginning, and that's just a song about being outside of society. Like they're counterculture to 100%, to a T, and that's where they want to be. And although they mention, like in that song, they mentioned Jesus Christ and Jimi Hendrix, who are actually people that, you know, supposedly did great things. Not supposedly, but they did great things, you know. These people are awful, but they're just kind of the ultimate anti-cultural.
And Leonard Cohen, you know, he's
waiting.
He's definitely a counterculture kind of.
Yeah.
His music's definitely different. And even the very first opening of the movie, when you see the Regency logo, it always gets stuck in my head. And it's just like. And that feeling.
And if you take Leader of the Pack in there, that's kind of like an immature song, like an immature idea that he's like this, like, you know, romanticized like leader, gang leader, and she's just following him into that. But there's just so much stuff in the music. It's so well picked. And you know, a lot of movies nowadays, the music's so forced in there. Like I'll use Skull Island for example. That's the most forced musical soundtrack I've ever heard in my life.
I haven't seen that one.
I mean, it's a fun movie, I guess, but the score sounds like it's like, hey, remember all those movies that use Vietnam style music, like Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
We could be a Vietnam movie with King Kong. It's like, I don't know. But
somebody told me Suicide Squad had a bunch of music.
Yeah, that sounded like
I didn't watch it.
Me either. I missed that one too. But like, you know, there's so many good actors in this movie too that pop up, which is surprising. Like there's you know, like I said, we didn't even mention Tom Sizemore. We didn't even mention Robert Downey Jr. We didn't mention Rodney Dangerfield, which is a perfect role for him because he plays completely against type. Because Rodney Dangerfield's supposed to be this really funny, kind of like semi-chauvinistic comedian, but he does the complete opposite here.
He hated it.
And he should have, because you know what?
Listen to the commentary at all?
No, I haven't. But the funny thing about that is it's too close to home because he kind of plays that thing, but he goes into it like evilly, and like it feels so like it shouldn't be right, but it works, and which is really scary because
Oliver Stone said he hated playing that role, and
but
that
he's so good at it.
He would come up to him and just be like, "Man, I don't know if I can like do this," and that's what he says. He says that Rodney Dangerfield absolutely hated playing that.
But he did
character.
so good.
But he does great.
I'm gonna take out your eye and show it to you.
I'm gonna take out your eye.
I'm gonna take your eye out.
Because it's like, you know, like in the movie they always show like the abusive husband, like the big strong guy and a wife beater, and it's like a lot of times it's just, you know, a slob. Slobby looking guy, you know, but there's just lots of great moments in there.
I bet I might know a famous person that's in it that you didn't spot.
Marshall Bell's in it. Balthazar Getty's in it. Stephen Wright's in it. Who else is in that movie? The guy from Jacob Slatter and Constantine, Vince, Paul Taylor, Pruitt Vince or something.
Pruitt Taylor Vince.
There he is. Yeah. Give me
even
Mark
more
Harmon's
famous.
in it. He
Even
plays
more famous.
Mickey Knox in the redos. Dale dies in it.
Peter Jackson, King Kong.
He's from Peter Jackson's King Kong. John Goodman, Samuel Jackson.
Adrian Brody's in Natural Born Killers.
Where?
He's part of the camera crew in the prison.
Is he really?
Yes, he is, dude.
So is Kurt Balls from Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, and I always thought that was an interesting.
Well, there's a lot of those guys. You got Julian Lewis, who went to do From Dusk Till Dawn. You got Tom Sizemore, who was in True Romance. You got there's Robert Downey Jr. We didn't even mention Robert Downey Jr., who is the media, who is just complete scum. Everything's for himself.
Isn't the tagline "The media made them do it"?
But you know what's funny about this movie is they're making this like statement on violence by being violent, and it's kind of like Cannibal Holocaust in that way that it's a movie about the exploitation of human it's a movie about the exploitation of human done in an exploitation movie by exploiting humans.
Yeah.
What the hell? It's just so much exploitation layers. And this is kind of the same way. It's like we're telling you how the media like loves this violence and makes these violent characters into heroes by showing you a bunch of violence. And the very end of the movie, the only weak parts of Natural Born Killers to me is the whole end when they like kill Robert Downey Jr. I just don't know if like his message came through fully there. It just kind of feels kind of clouded to me. But it's much better than the alternative endings, which I absolutely hate.
Oh yeah,
they're garbage.
The
they're
alternative
and the character Owen.
He's
a terrible character. I know he's supposed to be his guardian angel. Doesn't work.
And they show him very quickly in the beginning.
I know in the diner. And he's not. I don't want to be a dick, but he's not a very good actor.
Arliss Howard.
I don't know what else he's in.
A Full Metal Jacket.
Which character is he? Oh, is he Cowboy?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Wow, and that's an Oliver Stone movie.
Yeah.
Again, speaking of Oliver Stone and war movies, Oliver Stone was a Vietnam vet.
No, that's Stanley Kubrick movie.
Oh, duh. Jesus.
Yeah.
But speaking of war movies, Oliver Stone was a Vietnam vet. That's why the filming in the prison is so, like, I imagine it's like combat. It's chaotic, it's insane, it's intense, and, like, some of the stuff that happens in there is just super bothersome.
They use, like, 35mm, Super 35, 16, 8mm. They use, like, every kind of film. They use filters on it.
They've never had so many cuts in a movie.
Never. There's, I forget what the exact number is, but I don't think there's a shot that lasts longer than 5 seconds or something.
And frickin' Quentin Tarantino hated it.
Yep.
He hates it.
Hated it.
But I love it.
I remember when I was younger, when I was thinking of movie ideas, you know, I'm sure we all as kids thought of movie ideas. And I was like, I want to make a movie where there's flashes of violence, like, really quick, like, out of nowhere. And I was like, that'll be sweet. Right, and when I watched Natural Born Killers, because my aunt bought it for me that day at Walmart, because I, like, begged her. When I watched Natural Born Killers, that happened. And I was like, I found the movie. I was like, this is great. Like, I found what I was, like, thinking of.
You know what I really like about Natural Born Killers, in a sense, is there's a scene when Mickey and Mallory get in a fight, and Mallory goes for a drive. And she's driving, and she has that flash of her father's eyes. And, like, it's just, there's something about, like, life in general. There's a couple things that always haunt you, and they never leave you. And no matter what happens, they're stuck in your head. And a second, just a split second can fuck you up. Or somebody can say something, or somebody can move a certain way, and it reminds you of something in your past, and ruin your fucking day. And it's like, these things, they can't escape it. And it's funny because Woody Harrelson in the movie, Mickey, he makes these mentions of, why are they making all these stupid fucking movies? And he's very negative towards the violence. They show the Wild Bunch on the television. Very negative towards the violence. But then he is a super violent person.
He's like, doesn't anyone believe in kissing anyone?
Yeah, which is so fucked up.
Yeah.
Hypocrisy. Most mass murderers are big hypocrites.
Yep. He's oddly charismatic, though.
Oh, yeah, as most serial killers. And you know what's funny is... the new movie Fred Vogel made, The Final Interview, reminds me a lot of just that big interview in Natural Born Killers.
Fred Vogel has been influenced by Natural Born Killers a lot, actually.
Yeah.
I remember I went to his studio, and there was a big Natural Born Killers poster on the wall, and I was like, I love that movie. That's like my favorite movie. And he was like, yeah, and he's like, you know, it kind of glamorizes violence and stuff, and like, I understand what he's saying. But if you watch... Fred did a documentary with Necrophagia called Success.
Yeah.
He there's a part where they get Fred, because Fred's the camera guy, and they get Fred at the end to join in on a murder. And he says, he's like, I've never felt so alive in my whole fucking life. And it's a direct Natural Born Killers quote. And like the final interview, I was like, you know, Fred, you know, this is like kind of similar to the interview section of Natural Born Killers. And he was like, yeah, you know, it's in there a little bit.
Well, you know, Fred Vogel's whole career has true crime nature to all of them.
Yeah.
The August Underground movies, Murder Collection, even Masked has a little bit, but Salaterska feels like it's all real until the very end. Not necessarily true crime, but Red Sun Tower has that true crime boyfriend element.
Yep.
It's almost, and the final interview is like top it all up.
And Natural Born Killers is more fantastical.
Oh yeah.
Like it's not like it's kind of the opposite of what Fred does.
Yeah.
But
it's like weird like violence and stuff, and it's like a drug trip as well. But the second half of the movie comes on and they're in prison, and it's much more somber until the prison riot, and then it gets real crazy.
Yep.
But I just want to talk about how great Tommy Lee Jones is. Because the only movie you really get to see Tommy Lee Jones goes manic sometimes, like in Rolling Vengeance, he goes manic. Rolling Thunder, he goes manic for a second. Well, I'm going to kill a whole bunch of
people.
He goes manic for a second. Well, but a lot of time he's stern, like in Stormy Monday or U.S. Marshals or The Fugitive. He's stern, Men in Black. But in this movie, he is insane. Balls to the wall. And it legitimately seems justified why. Like in the prison riot scene, when the guy's like, there's a fire, and I can see the goddamn fire. And then we're just like, what is it, Nana Balding? And he's like, I'm not Nana Balding. I don't give a goddamn fuck what your name is. It's just, I love him in that movie.
Did you watch any of the bonus features, the interviews and stuff?
I remember watching the deleted scenes and a lot of the stuff, and the only deleted scene that I felt was really strong was the one with Ashley Judd in the courtroom. I thought it was a great scene, but they couldn't find a place to put it.
Yeah, it would screw up the pacing.
Yeah.
But Tommy Lee Jones says in the deleted scenes that they let him choose his mustache. And he just did like a pencil-thin mustache. He said he just wanted to be a sleazy.
Did you ever notice him in the background of the shots? He's picking his nose all the time, and he's just like he's such an ape. And I love how they show that the media, how Robert Downey Jr. is like, don't even let him finish the sentence, don't even let him answer. It shows you how the media misconstrues and changes people to make who's bad and whatnot.
Yeah.
And also, this is one of Tom Size's best.
Oh,
he's such a creep in it. He's so good in it.
Lots of layers to his character.
Yeah, and he's just always intense. Like in this movie, he's like Colt personified. Like he's always, you broke my fucking nose. Really broke his nose there.
Really did break his nose.
And that was real.
Broke my
you can tell it's really so mad. But I just imagine like Juliette Lewis in this movie is amazing too, and of course Woody Harrelson. Everybody's so good in the movie.
I don't think there is a weak performance that that really stands out.
Even if you notice if Dale Dye is in this movie.
Yeah, and he's a real police officer.
Yep. No, he was a Nam guy. That's why I think he was from Vietnam. He's in Platoon too. He plays the colonel. He's definitely he did the combat staging, I think, in that movie. I think he really saw combat. And I want to say he wrote the book adaptation for Platoon.
Did you know there was a book adaptation of Natural Born Killers?
Was there?
I have it.
Yeah.
I didn't read it yet, but I have it, and I guess it's different. I don't know.
Do you know originally that I heard that Michael Madsen was offered the role
of
Mickey, but he turned it down.
That would not work.
No, it wouldn't work. He's not manic enough.
No,
he can't.
He's too calm. He's
too calm.
Too just like kind of.
But I love him. But I can't. He does a great role, kind of similar in like I guess the Getaway remake.
He could maybe do Tom Sizemore's role. Maybe
I could say that he's interchangeable with Tom Sizemore.
Yeah,
but sometimes I love both of them. But yeah, it's such a perfect movie to me.
It's my favorite movie of all time.
It's a good choice. And I remember first watching it, the first half, I was like, I don't know about this. But when that second half kicked in, it made the first half better. And every time I watch it, I like it more and more.
It's almost like it's when we were younger and we're trying to climb the ladder of extreme films. It's like one that you first start off with. You know what I mean? Like Clockwork Orange. Clockwork Orange, I Spit on Your Grave, Natural Born Killers, Pink Flamingos, and then I would just kind of get increasingly
until
more
you hit
extreme.
Cannibal Holocaust, and then
Cannibal Holocaust.
I think I hit the ceiling here.
August Underground.
Yeah, August Underground, Borderland, and then you're Cannibal Holocaust, and you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna go back to watching every movie. Everybody has to go down their like sick movie path, and then they watch all of them, and then they're like, they like some of them, they hold on to some of them. Other ones, they're like, I don't need to see that ever again.
Yeah. There's only so far you can go.
And then it's just like too much.
But Natural Born Killers is endlessly quotable. The music gets stuck in your head.
It's got a great soundtrack. Yeah. It's like it's got the Forrest Gump of extreme films soundtrack in there.
And Warner Brothers made it. And they gave Oliver Stone free reign to do it. It's Oliver Stone says in the commentary or in an interview, he says it's the biggest budgeted college film. Because of all
it was experimental. It's very
experimental.
But you know what's also great about it? I had something I was thinking about. I think I'm losing it. I think I lost. Oh no! During the end police riot, the riot, and the people come in, they're wasting people. It shows like just people getting shot that shouldn't get shot. Like the whole film crew's getting wasted. That's like another touch of like reason. You know, like people. What's the word I'm looking for? Not circumstances, but repercussions for violence and everything. It's just insane.
I actually, for some reason, love it in movies when just like an innocent bystander will get shot.
Well, because I think it's glamorizing violence, but it also shows you, hey, dude, you can't just run in. Oh yeah, you can't just run in and shoot the bad guys. You're gonna have some blood on your hands that you didn't want to get there.
Heat.
Even in Heat, Dillinger does it. Richard Dreyfuss shoots out the window. And there's a cop out there. There's a bunch of innocent people. He's like shoots like 5 of them. He's like, I got him. Doesn't even care. It happens in a lot of this kind of stuff. Like I think that I appreciate real violence. Like I enjoy violent films, but I need to see that there's going to be repercussions. Death Sentence is a great movie.
The comedy Pineapple Express. They shoot the cop Rosie Perez shoots through a window and hits a guy in the arm. Just putting groceries into his car, and I thought that was just great.
You got to let people know that you can't just. You're not gonna be like fucking Steve McQueen or something and run around and shoot all the right people.
Yeah. Accidents happen. Violence is terrible.
It's a messy thing.
Yeah, it's destructive.
Anything else you want to mention about the movies? I think we talked. There's one called Unnaturally Born Killers. It's just low budget movie. I never saw it. I'm trying to think of some other ones that are like it.
I remember I like eBayed Natural Born Killers to find like different versions.
You saw Natural Born Killers?
Well, no, I saw a movie called Natural Born Killers that was a documentary on like snakes and stuff which
is funny because there's a lot of snake symbolism in here too.
There is,
the
rings
demon and stuff,
and the rings.
And the whole Native American character, and then Mickey and Mallory have this fate thing, and the Native American character says he basically knows his fate right when he sees Mickey. There's this weird fate thing going on throughout the entire movie.
Yep.
There's just so much crazy stuff in here.
Insane movie. I wish that I would have saw it in the theater when I came.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
How old would I have been? 94, is it?
90. Yep. Yeah.
I would have been 8 years old. My parents would have never gone for that. You would have been what?
I was 1.
You were 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now listen. Less of the shrink. Keep the teens, keep the long hairs. I love the cop at the donut shop, and I love McCluskey. Cut in on him in the middle of that horrific fucking laugh. Freeze for a moment. Don't even let him answer. Then cut to me at the trial. Their subsequent trial.
Yeah, I mean it's just a solid movie. I don't see. I think there's something in it that everybody could like.
I think though that is not for everybody. There's gonna be people that despise this movie.
People that don't really like extreme films, it's not even that violent. I don't feel like
it's very violent.
Like
it's just not as gory as
it's not. Yeah, it's not gory. But it is malicious.
Yeah, it's gory.
Like it has the feeling. Of it's a frenzy,
but it's very funny too.
Yeah, it is very funny.
When Tommy Lee Jones loses his shit, anybody would have done what he does.
Robert Downey Jr. loses his shit too.
Everybody loses their shit in that.
He's I'm gonna come over and put a hot pepper in your ass.
What are some of your favorite lines of dialogue in the movie?
Well, of course, the most badass line is when in the interview when he says, "Shit, man, I'm a natural born."
One of my favorites. He's like, "What are you gonna do? Woo me? I've never wounded anything in my life.
I never wounded anything in my life."
I'm just kidding. And I'm gonna take out your eye and show it to you. Don't think you're a fucking idiot.
You're a fucking idiot.
I say that to work to people. I shouldn't, but I do.
And there's some symbolism in that scene too, because he says, "Kill the fucking Indian."
Yeah,
and like later on,
and
when
what's
they're with
funny
the
is that movie. I love how it does the '50s little like Leave It to Beaver thing because it's supposed to be this nice little fucking TV area, and he talks about the TV movie violence junk and people just watching it and getting like brain dead by it, and then at the very end during the prison riot, because he does mention that the junk food TV. So does Tom Sizemore, and at the very end when they do the prison riots, they show all that old kind of classy footage of people just watching TV, just sucking all that crap down their fucking face and messing them up.
This Natural Born Killers caused a huge problem with product placement.
Yeah.
It changed how product placement is in movies because of the Coca-Cola commercial that's in it. They Warner Brothers asked Coca-Cola if they could use a commercial in one of their movies, and they were like, sure. Didn't read the script.
No.
Then they watched Natural Born Killers, and they're just like, this can't be in here. And then they're like, you said it, and it changed the whole laws of how product placement works and everything.
Before I lose it, another thing that's interesting about it is when Mickey escapes originally on the prison horse. A snake bites the horse.
Yep.
But when he gets caught again, it's because he got bit by the snake and he's going to get the medicine. Yep. So a snake causes him to get out. A snake causes him to get in. That snake is fake.
Yeah.
Which in the movie is a big theme.
And I love that scene, the drug zone scene where he's like, you go out front, I'm going to go get the snake bite. She's like laughing.
I love when she does that little walk to the one guy on the thing. She's like,
yeah.
Or we're just gushing over it. We're gushing over it, but when she does this,
she does that. And he's like holding her head.
Yeah. She's so good at it. I think that, I'm gonna be honest, she never got her. She should have been a fucking A-list. She's probably one of the best actors I've ever seen. I like the weird actors and actresses.
She completely embodies the character.
And she's so good at it. And like, I read somewhere that somebody said about Warren Oates is it takes a great actor to play dumb well.
Yeah.
And Warren Oates does it, and Juliette Lewis does it. Because they don't know they're dumb in the movie.
Yeah.
They play it like they don't know they're dumb, but they're dumb.
Dumb.
And it's perfect. She's great at it.
It is great, yeah.
Like, even at the end, Mickey kind of shuts her up, and she's like, there's an underground railroad and stuff. It's kind of like, even though, it's just a great movie.
And then, at the end of the movie, they're in an RV, and they have 2 kids.
I don't particularly love the ending of that, but...
I mean, it's funny, Oliver Stone made a joke. He's like, so look out for Natural Born Killers too. And I would be interested. to see.
Has he made? I haven't watched any of his new stuff in years.
Neither have I.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the movies I do remember. His, of course, Platoon, and of course U-Turn, which is a great movie. You ever seen? U-Turn's totally underrated.
U-Turn's
as
kind
well.
of a similar kind of story.
I would agree. Howard Booth's in that, and Nick Nolte, Sean Penn, Billy
Jennifer
Bob
Lopez.
Yeah, none of the same cast, I don't think, which is a shame. But I think I've spoken pretty much all I can speak about on Natural Born Killers. I'm sure we made some mistakes. I'm sure we made idiots of ourselves, but I enjoyed the hell.
It's a great movie. Fantastic.
Enjoyed it. Enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Wait, we gotta do it.
We're not doing the same thing. What are we doing here? Don't fucking laugh. This is serious. That's a wrap!
Platoon. Wall Street. Born on the 4th of July. JFK. Oliver Stone's vision has changed the way we saw our past. Now he takes a look at where we are and where we're going. And you'll be shocked at what he sees. And Mallory. Feared by thousands.
I love you so much, baby. I love you.
Watched by millions.
We're fate. Can't stop fate. Nobody can. It's kind of like the Twilight Zone or something.
Woody Harrelson, Juliette Lewis, Robert Downey Jr., and Tommy Lee Jones.
What do you have to say to your fans?
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Natural born killers. In the media circus of life, they were the main attraction.